You've probably been told your whole life that success is all about hard work, merit, and being honest, right? But what if I told you there's a hidden set of rules, a kind of shadow syllabus, that's actually calling the shots on who gets ahead? Well, in this explainer, we're diving deep into an analysis that uncovers the unspoken psychological rules that really shape Indian society. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It frames the whole thing perfectly. The source we're looking at argues that to really understand success in India, you have to see past the official story. You need the code, kind of like the cheat sheet for a super complex social operating system. So, what is this shadow syllabus? Well, think of it as this collection of unwritten rules that, according to this analysis, really dictates who moves up and holds the power. We're not talking about breaking the law here. It's more about how a totally different set of values, often deeply psychological, almost feudal, can just completely override the modern ideal of a pure meritocracy.
All right, let's jump into the first rule. And this one immediately challenges a core belief most of us have, that being the absolute best at your job is what truly matters most.
And here it is, laid out plain and simple. You see the direct conflict, right? The stated rule is, be good at what you do. Simple, but the unspoken rule, the one from the shadow syllabus, says something very different. It says the number one metric isn't your skill. It's how comfortable you make the people in power feel.
So why is that? The source calls this the insecurity buffer. It argues that in a lot of Indian structures, if you outshine your superior, you're not seen as this great asset. No. You're seen as a threat to their authority. Your own brilliance can make them feel insecure, and let me tell you, that can be a fatal career mistake. Okay, so how does this play out in the real world? Well, it translates into a few key tactics. You have to master what's called optical submission. Basically, you make your boss feel like your great idea was actually born from their brilliant guidance. The use of sir isn't just about being polite, it's a tool to constantly validate their authority. And yeah, what some might call sycophancy or Chamchagiri becomes a strategy. It's a way to signal loyalty, and in a low-trust society, that can be way more valuable than just raw talent.
Now for the second rule, this one takes a really common social pressure and reframes it as a powerful economic concept. The argument here is that what other people think of you isn't just a feeling, it's a form of capital, it's currency.
This phrase. We all know it, right? What will people say? It usually sounds like this big barrier to being yourself. But the source argues that for the people who really know how to operate, this isn't a fear at all. It's a financial instrument. Your reputation is literally your social credit score.
This is such a stark contrast. On one hand, we're told, express your individuality, be you. But the unspoken rule is that conformity is basically the premium you pay for social insurance. If you deviate too much from the norm, you become a high-risk asset, especially in a society that relies heavily on social collateral, not just legal contracts. In practice, this means you get good at strategic conformity. You follow all the small social rules to build up your social credit, which you can then cash in later when you need to break a big rule. And think about those lavish events, like a wedding. That's not just a party, it's a public signal of your financial strength to the entire community. And if you just ignore all of this, well, that leads to isolation, which cuts you off from the very network you need for everything from getting a hospital bed to a good school admission.
Okay, rule number 3. This one is all about networking, and it argues that those purely transactional, Western-style approaches often just fall flat because they totally miss the real basis of trust.
I mean, this quote says it all. The pure logic of a deal isn't what gets it over the finish line. The source says that trust isn't something you build from scratch with a good argument. It's transferred through a shared sense of identity, a connection. The real goal is to find that common ground, that apna admi, or our guy feeling.
And this is how it breaks down. There's a hidden hierarchy of trust. At the very top, you have family, where trust is absolute. Right below that, you've got layers based on jati, or community, then region and language. And only way down at the bottom do you finally find earned trust, from things like being alumni of the same college. The system, as the source describes it, just automatically assigns a level of trust based on where you fit into this pyramid.
So, you've navigated all these complex, unwritten rules. You've seen how the system works. What's the end game? Well, the source presents two very distinct paths for anyone with high value who's caught in this system. This is the ultimate question, isn't it? If the whole system is running on these hidden rules, how on earth do you win? The analysis points to two completely different strategies. And here they are. Option 1, you become a gray zone operator. This is someone who understands and completely masters these rules to win from the inside. Then there's option 2, the ultimate exit strategy. You just leave the system altogether. And for a lot of people, that means leaving the country.
For those who choose to stay and play, this is the code. Publicly, you conform. Privately, you can rebel. You don't build a massive network. You build a small, fiercely loyal tribe. You weaponize your competence, you use your skills, but you cloak it in humility so your boss never, ever feels threatened. You master Jagarad, that amazing art of flexible problem solving to manage relationships with gatekeepers who really run things. And finally, you have to detach from the outcome and just embrace the chaos.
And that brings us to the final, really provocative question this analysis leaves us with. If the game is rigged with these unwritten rules, you're left with a fundamental choice. Do you learn the shadow syllabus and play to win? Or do you decide to find a different game entirely?